Learn all must-know glossary terms for CompTIA Security Plus, SY0-701. Part 4. Intellectual Property, IP. These are creative works, inventions, and designs that are legally protected by rights, such as patents, copyrights, or trademarks. Internal audit. This is an evaluation done inside an organization to closely examine its various operations, which includes things like cybersecurity measures. Internal compliance monitoring. Internal compliance reporting. This is a type of compliance reporting that requires systematic documentation, often helped along by internal audits that are conducted by an in-house team. Internet of Things. This is the interconnected network of physical devices that communicate and exchange data with each other through the internet or other networking technologies. This is a Internet of Things IoT device. This is a physical object that connects to the internet so it can collect and exchange data. Internet Protocol Security. This is a suite of protocols that gives us a secure way to transmit data over an IP network by using cryptographic security services. Interoperability. This is the capability that different information systems, devices, or applications have to connect, work together, and exchange information in a coordinated way, both internally and externally. Intrusion Detection System. This is a system that acts as an observer, passively scanning network traffic for suspicious patterns and then alerting administrators about potential breaches. Intrusion Prevention System, IPS. This is a system that scans network traffic for suspicious patterns and then actively steps in to either block or mitigate the identified threats. Intrusion Prevention System, IPS, and Intrusion Detection System, IDS, logs. This is a specialized record that works to identify activities within a network that are potentially harmful. Inventory. This is a detailed record that lists all the assets belonging to an organization. This is the isolation. This is the process of separating a device that is suspected of being infected from the rest of the computing environment. Term: jailbreaking. This is the process of removing restrictions imposed by a device manufacturer or carrier, giving the user greater control over the system and the ability to install unauthorized applications. This is the process of keeping a consistent record of changes made to data, which makes point-in-time recovery possible. Jump server. This is a network device, also known as a jump box, that is typically used as a way to access other devices located on the network. These are access permissions that are provisioned dynamically, and they are typically only valid for a limited period that specifically aligns with the time frame during which the permissions are required. Key escrow. This refers to the secure storage of cryptographic keys that authorized entities can access in the event of key loss or during emergencies. Key exchange. This is the process where cryptographic keys are securely exchanged between different parties. Term: key length. Definition: this is the number of bits in an encryption key, and this number directly affects the strength of the encryption. Key Management System, KMS. This is a system designed to manage cryptographic keys across their entire life cycle. These are metrics used to measure the potential impact and likelihood of risks that have already identified. Term: key stretching. This is a set of techniques used to make keys that are currently weak into keys that are more secure. Keylogger. This is software that captures every single keystroke a user makes in a system and is able to steal sensitive data, including credentials. Known environment penetration testing. This approach, also known as white box testing, is used for identifying security vulnerabilities where the penetration testers are given complete information about the system's architecture, including network diagrams, source code, and credentials. Layer 4 firewall. This type of firewall concentrates on simple transport level attributes like IP addresses and port numbers. Layer 7 firewall. This firewall offers filtering that is based on content and is more nuanced or subtle. Least privilege. This is the method of granting a user just the smallest amount of access required for them to perform their work. Legacy application. This is an older piece of software that continues to perform a necessary and important function within a company. This is a system where the time frame for software and hardware support from the vendor has already ended. This is the way we keep electronically saved information safe, because it might be important for a legal issue or an official investigation. Legal implications. Thinking about privacy, these are the duties, legal responsibilities, and possible penalties that companies face when they collect, save, and handle personal information. Legal information. This is data that has a direct connection to duties or procedures mandated by law. Lessons learned. This phase of the NIST incident response cycle is when documentation is refreshed and the event is looked into more deeply to find its whole extent, how it was stopped and eradicated, and how the affected systems were restored. Level. This points to the amount or range involved when data is changed into a format that is protected and secure. Lightweight Directory Access Protocol, LDAP. This is a protocol used at the application layer to access and change information found in directory services. Likelihood. This is a description based on quality rather than numbers of the chance that a certain event will happen. Load balancing. This is how incoming network or application traffic is spread out among several servers, which makes applications more dependable and easily accessible. This is the way scattered log data is collected from many different sources, like servers or network devices, and brought together into one central location so it can be looked at closely. This is information that has been recorded in an organized way, created by software, operating systems, or hardware pieces. This is code secretly placed inside software, designed to trigger one of several harmful actions only after certain requirements are fulfilled. Logical segmentation. This is separating a network into different sections or subnets based on things like what the section does, what security is needed, or the limits between departments. This is something that happens that keeps a company from being able to legally run their business in an industry where they are regulated. This is the specific period of time set aside for doing updates or changes to systems, which is carefully picked to keep interruptions as small as possible. Malicious code. This is software designed to carry out actions on a network without permission. Malicious update. This attack happens when authorized software or firmware is changed or swapped out for a version with damaging code, using the normal update process. Malware. This is software that is intended to infiltrate, harm, or collect details from a system when the user has not given their permission. This is a set of controls covering the methods and worries addressed by an organization's leadership, like managers and executives. They usually center on decisions and the handling of risk. These controls also focus on procedures, policies, staying compliant with rules, the various security and development life cycles, how information is assured, and vulnerability scanning, meaning they focus on managing the security of data and systems. This is an access control rule that is decided by the computer system itself, rather than by a user or the person who owns the resource. This is a contract made between different parties, where those parties accept most of the rules that will guide their business deals or contracts in the time to come. Mean time between failures, MTBF. This is a reliability measurement that quantifies the expected average time between failures for a system or component. Mean time to repair. The average amount of time required to repair a failed device or system and restore it to operational status. Memorandum of Agreement, MOA. A written document that outlines a cooperative relationship between two parties, though it is generally not legally binding. Memorandum of Understanding, MOU. An informal agreement that outlines the mutual roles and responsibilities within a project or partnership. Memory injection. An attack where someone introduces or injects malicious code directly into a system's memory. This is data that gives you information about other data. Microservices. Applications deployed as a collection of services that are easily maintained and tested and can be deployed independently. Misconfiguration. The incorrect setup or configuration of software, hardware, or networks. Misinformation. Information that is false or misleading and is spread without any malicious intent. Mobile device. A computing gadget you hold in your hand, such as a smartphone or a tablet. Mobile device management, MDM. A centralized software solution used from an administrative console to control, configure, update, and secure remote mobile devices, such as Android, iOS, and others. Monitoring. The continuous process of observing and analyzing system activities and behaviors to detect and respond to potential security incidents. Monitoring and asset tracking. These processes provide continuous visibility into the status, location, and condition of all assets within an organization. Monitoring computing resources. The process of continuously overseeing an organization's information technology assets to ensure they operate within expected parameters and meet expected performance levels. Monitoring systems. The process of ensuring that systems are running optimally, are free of vulnerabilities, and are not unintentionally participating in unauthorized activities. The underlying reasons or drives that inspire an individual or a group to act in a specific way. Multi-cloud system. A cloud system that involves multiple cloud service platforms, such as AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, to fulfill various computational and storage needs. Multi-factor authentication. The process of identifying a user by checking 2 or more claims they present, with each claim belonging to a different category of factors. Nation-state actor. An attacker typically supported by a government who uses adversarial techniques to steal intellectual property, cause disruption, and potentially compromise critical infrastructure. These are the foundational framework for data protection in a country, often supersedes or complements local and regional laws. NetFlow, a protocol originally developed by Cisco that collects and monitors network traffic data, which enables administrators to understand the source, destination, volume, and paths of traffic flow across their networks. Network access control, a method for enforcing security solutions driven by policy right at the network entry level. Network attack, an attack that targets network services and the availability, integrity, and confidentiality of data. Network infrastructure, hardware and software resources that help facilitate network connectivity, communication, operations, and management of an enterprise network. A log that captures the data traffic which travels across the network infrastructure. Neutral risk appetite. This is a balanced approach where an organization is willing to accept some level of risk, but stability must not be sacrificed. Next-generation firewall. This is a modern firewall designed to look past port and protocol inspection by including inspection at the application level, intrusion prevention, and using intelligence gathered from outside the firewall. Non-disclosure agreement, NDA. This is a legally binding contract that simply establishes a confidential relationship between the involved parties. This is data that can only be read with the help of specific hardware or specific software. This is the assurance that a person absolutely cannot deny the validity of something they did or said. This is the process of making data unintelligible and much harder to understand, but it does this without affecting how the data actually works. Offboarding. This is the procedural process of removing an employee from the Federated Identity Management System, which includes restricting their rights and permissions and possibly conducting an exit interview or debriefing the person. Offensive penetration testing. This is an aggressive approach that identifies security vulnerabilities by simulating cyber attacks. It is also known as red teaming.
This is simply a backup that is stored in a location that is geographically separate from the main data.
On-path attack. This attack happens when a malicious person intercepts communication between two parties and possibly changes it, all without the parties knowing what is happening. On-premises. This describes a computing architecture where all the hardware, software, servers, and network resources are managed and housed right inside the organization's physical location. This is the process of adding a new employee to the organization and making sure they are integrated into the identity and access management system. This is a one-time risk assessment done for a specific condition or event, and it is not intended to be something that needs to be repeated later. This refers to ongoing supportability. This refers to having the ability to ensure that automated systems can operate effectively over the long term. This is a protocol that is used to check on the revocation status of a specific digital certificate. On-site backup. This is a backup that is stored right there locally to make sure you have immediate data retrieval without any internet latency. Open authorization, OAuth. This is a framework that provides authorization so a third-party entity can access resources that are being hosted on a resource server. Open public ledger. This is a transparent and publicly accessible ledger, meaning anyone at all can inspect it. Open service ports. These are network communication endpoints on a computer system that have been left accessible and completely unguarded. Open source intelligence. This is intelligence gathered by scouring publicly available databases, online forums, and code repositories to help assemble a nuanced view of the current threat landscape. Operating System OS, Specific Security Log. This is a security log that contains specific records for events happening within the operating system itself. Operating System Security. This means strengthening an operating system, usually by making necessary configuration changes and using software tools. Operating system-based vulnerability. This is a weakness found within the operating system software, which is what manages hardware resources and provides various services for all computer programs. Operational controls. This category includes controls carried out by people specifically to increase system security for both individuals and groups. These controls include things like user training, computer support, incident handling, baseline configuration development, environmental security, and disaster recovery plans. The people who carry out these specific controls need technical expertise and must understand how to implement what management is asking for. Operational security, OPSEC. This is a set of decisions and processes put in place specifically to protect sensitive information from anyone attempting unauthorized access. Thank you for watching.